You know I'm a hustler, hustler. You know I'm a hustler, hustler.
Hey, we're back again with another episode of Get Biz, Do Biz, Get Pay. Today I have Jeremy Johnston. He is owner of multiple business, some storage units, some flooring service. Used to work in corporate America and is on a mission to create a environment where you would love to go into work, which has piqued my interest. So today we're gonna bring Jeremy on and share a little bit about what his vision is and how he come to be uh, how how he come to be the Jeremy he is today. Welcome to the show, Jeremy.
Thanks, Thorne. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on, and been listening to your podcast, and excited to get on and cut it up with you today.
Yeah. So off the offline, we talk a little bit about you starting a business during the pandemic. I mean, like tell me a little bit more about that. How did that turn out or didn't turn out for you?
Yeah, so I closed on my first business in February of 2020. That business is a flooring store, and 50% of that business was selling all of the flooring materials to Red Roof Inns nationwide. So a month later, everybody knows what happens, and everybody got shut down. State of Ohio shut everybody down here, and I was like, okay, I've owned a business for less than a month, or basically a month, and I have employees. What am I supposed to do? So I sent them all home and paid them. I continued to pay them, and decided to. We were a could be argued an essential business, so I kept the business going with our installers, working in the evenings, basically so that we didn't have to interact with one another and put some protocols in place. But it caused me to learn the flooring business very fast. But during that time, that Red Roof Inn business that we had went away. So
Mm,
overnight, 50% of my revenue was gone.
mm,
And so, for the next, 3 or 4 months, it was really me going in, going out and doing the measurements, coming back, cutting the carpet, getting the materials ready to go, and wearing every single hat within the organization other than actually doing the installation. So it gave me a very fast ability to learn the business, and a very good appreciation for all of my team and everything that they do on a daily basis. But definitely a challenging environment, but overall I thought it was a good way to start off with learning everything. And obviously, as the pandemic went on, flooring took off. Everybody wanted to get stuff done in their homes, and the home services industry as a whole really took off for the next couple of years. So then it was nice to kind of ride that wave in 21 and 22, and then been challenged kind of the last couple of years.
yeah, I think I started my business back in July 2020 as well. And I would say that COVID has actually helped me catapult build a brand faster because we
Absolutely.
have more work. Lead acquisition, client acquisition was cheap. So very interesting time for a lot of other people, right? But to me, I think COVID was a plus, and it's kind of redesign how people live, redesign how people make decision, make big purchases, change the economic basket of 100%. And
Absolutely.
let me see right here. You say you used to work in corporate America. When was that?
Yeah, so I for up until 2020, really 2018, I worked in corporate America. When I was in college, I started on the phones, selling caller ID. So I'm
Okay.
dating myself a little bit with that, and kind of worked my way up in the call center business. And before I left corporate America, I was vice president of operations for North American operations for a Chinese held outsourced provider. So we provided customer service and support for companies like Kohl's and Airbnb and all of these different companies, both in the U.S., Manila, and Panama. So it was kind of globally able to service those customers, and I decided I wanted to try to create something for myself and create an environment that employees wanted to come to work and wanted to work for versus working for some large corporation.
Yeah, so man, that's amazing, man. And to be able to leave that position and come in and get your hand dirty, and guys like you, we call them a white collar, blue collar.
Yeah.
White outside industry, coming in with already a set of skill that is missing in the industry, like business building, KPI building, client acquisition, all the client experience, all the other soft stuff that maybe if you grew up in the trade, that kind of comes second after like doing a good job, right? So that's
Yeah.
amazing, man. So how has that experience help you in becoming CEO of a multiple company?
I think more than anything, it helped me from being able to understand relationships and build off of those. I mean, I think you're giving me a little bit more credit than I probably deserve on, yes, we definitely had KPIs and dashboards and all of that stuff. But as I come into a, blue collar company that, we have 3 employees in the one company, we have 5 employees in the other. And so there really, in neither one of those companies was there ever really a focus of like putting in place some processes and procedures, right? So both stores and even today, we're in the process of changing this, but we'd be like, what measurements do we have today? Let's pull out the date book, right? And go down through the date book and see what we have. So literally in one of those businesses this week, we transitioned to a Google Calendar, and and so it's slowly doing those processes. But as you know, from running a small business, even though I own multiples, I'm still wearing the same, multiple hats in each of those areas. So with purchasing a business comes with its own challenges, right? So I have a lot of debt service that I have to make every single month, right, in order to keep the business going. And so that, doesn't allow for us to have as much of a head count as we may normally be at the size that we are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it make perfect sense. And that doesn't show up on your P&L, right?
Exactly.
Is on your balance sheet. But what's moved the needle for you? What gets you up in the morning?
I think the biggest thing is seeing employees move forward, right? So seeing employees taking ownership and telling me to get out of stuff. Right before we got on this call, actually, I was talking to somebody in my general manager is in the room, and she was like, "How do I do this?" And I, mentioned where to go, and I said, "I'll pull it up for you." She goes, "No, it's my job. I'll do it." And so I like it when I get that pushback because I know that the team is growing and learning. So it's reminding myself to get out of their way, give them the power to do things and just step away versus trying to do things for them. And seeing that growth, is exciting for me. At the business I bought in 2020, both of the employees that were there when I purchased the company are still there today. But the company that I bought last year, there were 7 employees. There's two of those employees left today. So we've had to make some hiring decisions as a team. And as we're hiring those, it's fun to see new life come in with new ideas that are ready to, make changes and move forward versus, just doing things the way they've always been done.
Man, that's I never thought about that sense that you can buy a business, right? I'm new to business. This is my first business. I
Yep.
started. I came from corporate too as well. So that's definitely a new concept to me. But I think if the cash flow makes sense, is one of the easiest way to generate cash, right? Like you buy a business that had already had a track record of revenue generating,
Absolutely. Yep.
and then you could go in there and tweak a couple things and maybe double the profit, right? Um, so talk to me a little bit about what do you look for when you pick a business to buy? What is your deciding factor per se, or
I think
factors?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, and it's hard, right? Like you don't know what you're buying until you get into it, right? You can look at financials, you can come in and look at the physical location, you can, look at tax returns, all of these things, right? You can look at Google reviews, at websites, et cetera. But for the most part, you're interacting with the person who's trying to sell it and their broker, right?
Mm,
So both of those people are completely motivated to do nothing but get the highest possible price for that organization. So it really comes down to you trying to do your due diligence
mm,
and figure it out. And I will say in both scenarios, I probably, knowing what I know now, I would have paid less. If that makes
mm,
sense. So um, and could have probably paid less. Um, I'm still happy with what the decisions that I've made, but you don't know what you don't know, right? And so all that you have to look for is the information that you can validate and verify. So tax returns are big because the tax returns will tell you exactly what they were doing. But the biggest thing is you have to decide whether or not you want to um, buy a job or buy a business. And I think in both of my acquisitions, unfortunately, I bought jobs, meaning there was no general manager, nobody in place running it. The owners were running those businesses. So when I purchased them, I had to step into the role that they were playing, and then build it out. So in the second acquisition, it was a little bit less of that because he was only here 2 or 3 days a week. Um, but there was still no one in charge. So whenever a decision had to be made, they would reach out to him. And so I had to step in and fill that role. Um, so I would say, when you're looking for a business to buy, know what role you're going to be playing in that acquisition. Whether you're going to be playing the general manager role versus the owner role and actually giving direction, or if you have a leader in place already.
mm. That's a key piece, right? Is one of the premises of my podcast is becoming CEO within your organization, and it takes a lot of work, sweat, and tear to get there. And a business, valuation is wow, it's going to wildly differ. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? If you buy a business that doesn't require you to be there but still print money, right?
100%.
Then
Yes.
that's a 5 to 7x multiple. And
Correct. Yes.
but if you buy a business that doesn't have that, I call that the CEO, the GM, the
Yeah.
integrator, that doesn't have that, maybe it's a 1x multiple, maybe 2x
Yeah,
multiple.
I would say probably 2x.
Yeah,
I probably paid 3x for both of my acquisitions. Part of it had to do with the second acquisition deleveraged my risk. Mentioned earlier that Red Roofing is 50% of my revenue at the other company. So the acquisition took that 50% down to 15%.
yeah,
So it really reduced my risk on that side. Plus, there was some passive income with the storage units
yeah,
because they're located on the same property. And it's located 20 miles away from where Intel is building a $30 billion fab plant. So over the course of the next, 5, 10, 15 years, the population growth is going to explode. So there were some different reasons why I was willing to take on that risk of a higher price point. Plus, as we were going through the negotiations and everything, it was 2022. Interest rates were much lower,
Oh, 100%.
than they are today. So a lot of that kind of played into it a little bit. But I've been approached and looked at some other acquisitions now, and you have all these baby boomers who are leaving the market, right?
Mhm.
And so in the flooring industry, there's a lot of them, but a lot of the owners are the owner operator. I looked at one recently, and it was him and one other person and a warehouse person. So if I were to make that acquisition, I would have to hire somebody to run that store. I would have to hire at least one more salesperson or another salesperson, and what he wanted for it just didn't make any sense. So we moved on from that because it was more of a lifestyle business than an actual business, if that makes sense. So all of his personal expenses were inside the business, and he wanted to kind of carve all those out and say that you got to pay for my car payment, you got to pay me extra for XYZ. So it's always interesting, and you have to go through, going through two acquisitions. I now know better what I'm looking for if I'm going to, as I'm evaluating something that allows for me to say no faster.
Yeah, it's like you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yeah.
So I coach a lot of contractors, and then people always come to me like, I want to sell my business one day. I'm like, well, you ain't selling it right now,
Right.
because the thing about business is, like, I got approached with a lot of, like, you sell it because you're tired. It means worth nothing.
Yeah.
It's worth nothing. You have no process, no this and that,
Absolutely.
no assets, no real estate, none of this. You have a website,
Right. Yeah.
and that's most of the time. But people think that business is worth more than what they think it's worth. But what I always encourage people to do is, you gotta have a brand, like some intangible assets that nobody can copy you, and that is review, that's his reputation, that is SOP, that's his sale process. If you're the only one who doing the sales, then
Yeah.
it's worth nothing. I
Right.
we,
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah,
Yep.
right.
Yeah.
So
And,
just some information there for the listener.
yeah. And the other thing that my team actually told me about when I was mentioning adding a third company, they said, let's focus on getting the two we have in place with all the policies and procedures across the board everywhere, so that we're buttoned up and ready to go. So that when we make that, when we move into another location, whether that's through acquisition or just expansion, that we're primed and ready to move forward. Because when I bought the second location this time, I mean, we're on two separate systems, ERPs or CRMs. It's completely two separate entities, and it's just it's been a nightmare to kind of manage and say, okay, well, let's look in this system or that system, and so it's been very difficult to manage. So we're in the process of getting it all on the same page.
Yeah. Um. So what's your goal in 5 years, Jeremy? 5 year
I'd
goal.
say I would say in 5 years, I want to be to the point where I am completely out of the day to day of the business. My kids will be 15 and 9. So I want to be able to, leave and have people in place to run the day to day. Maybe still be in the visionary role or the CEO role, but with at least probably 3 locations, if not 4, and be able to take a month off or 2 months off without having to worry and about anything. So, and the ultimate goal, wake up every morning, read my championship legacy, and the first thing is to impact lives by interacting with love, right? So, I want to impact as many lives as I can, and so the more ways that I can do that, whether that's through my current businesses or whether there's opportunities down the line to, thinking about starting up a podcast and, different things to try to work on my personal brand, to live out that, purpose even further and impact in more people.
Yeah, man. Without there's a quote that I don't know who said, "Without the vision, the people perish." So, people need something to aim towards. People need a vision, a purpose, mission, vision, and value, right? And
Absolutely.
I think that's the part that business builder. I think that's the part that doesn't get talked about enough is what is your business here to do besides selling the product? Like, what is the mission? Like, um, and sometimes that's a key to, I would say that's the most important factor when building a brand. Why you do what you do, right? Why?
Absolutely.
So why? You explained a little bit about it, all right,
Yeah.
already. So I think I understand why you do what you do, and
Yep.
when people can understand and buy into why you do what you do, then you're gonna end up having a better process, better people, um, better
Yeah.
engagement, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that why, mine is to impact as many people as I can from a place of love, right? It goes through everything. So you mentioned mission, vision, value. That purpose or that mission flows through to all the decisions that we're making, right? So I pay for 100% of every employee who wants it healthcare. Okay. Um, People are always like, "Oh, that's crazy. You can't do that." Why are you doing that? Because even large corporations don't do that, right? But it's a investment in peace of mind. I when I left corporate and I went to work for another small business, they didn't offer any of that. They didn't offer life and having life insurance for their employees, et cetera. And we had an employee who passed away. And he passed away from a heart attack because he couldn't afford to go out and get his blood pressure medication because he didn't have any insurance, right? And then he passed away, and he didn't have it. His family didn't have any money to pay for that funeral. So little investment on my part to make sure that my employees have those basic needs taken care of, alleviates them from having to worry about those things. And the more things that I can remove from their plate to worry about on a daily basis means that they feel more comfortable in doing their daily jobs, right? So, that's just one example of how we try to live up to our mission in all of the decisions that we're making, even the small ones that people don't think about.
Wow, that's great, man. When uh when you talk about mission, vision, and value, and when you talk about why you do what you do, how important is it to transfer that conviction down to your employees?
Yeah, it's extremely important, and I don't necessarily always do a great job about it, right? So I try to instill in when we're making decisions, go back to our values. So my general manager Jackie here is way better at this than I am. She will constantly remind me when we're thinking about making a decision, like, well, together is one of our values, and we win together first as a family, then as a team, then for the community or for our customers, and then for the community. And so it's the more that we can get those values integrated into everything that we're doing, the easier it is to make a decision because we can just simply go through all four of them, which spell out grit, right, which is growth, resourcefulness, integrity, and together. And as we are going through those, we're able to very quickly analyze it and figure out whether or not what we're doing or what we're thinking about doing is going to be in line with those values.
Right. I think you know, in a sense of brand building, right? I think core value and a mission statement and what you stand for or what you don't stand for is extremely important. Because if you try to be everything to everybody, you nobody to nobody,
Yeah.
right? So when people talking about brand, in in the at least in the construction industry, I think most people are talking about logo, truck wrap, yard sign, brand awareness ads. But I think branding is much more than that. I think branding is your behavior. Branding is your interaction. Every interaction is a opportunity for branding. And it's I think the logo and all that stuff, the color scheme, they're important, but they're about 10% important. Because if you have a great logo, great mission, great vision, great value, look good on paper, but then the behavior doesn't match up with your what you putting out in the world, and 1 star, 2 star review, that is your brand. That is what
You're right.
people talk about you when you're not in the room, right? It's the simplest term is branding is that. So I think that's extremely important to have your core value clearly written out, communicated, and beaten down to your team member and actually follow through with the core value. It's not something on the wall, right? So I we live and die by core value, man. Like I have let people go by just breaking integrity,
Yeah.
and that's the and then what it does is it attract a certain type of people that align with your value. So that's amazing, man. What are you doing in term of when you buy a business? I'm sure you have some existing client, you have some existing customer, you have some existing vendor, you have some own contact. What are you doing to I guess maximize the profit in those database?
Yeah, so we are, one of the first things that I did in all of them is go out and meet with our key clients, right? Anybody who is a repeat customer is somebody that I want to develop a relationship with. So it's going out to those job sites and meeting them. And a lot of times too, I will just interact with, for instance, we do a lot with custom home builders. So before I actually met the owners of those custom home builder projects, I actually went out to the field as we were doing work for them and just went out and met my teams and see how they were doing. But also that caused me to meet the foremans that were on the job. And they were able to kind of interact and see who I was a little bit before I met the owner, which allowed for them to tell the owner about their experience with me before the owner met me. And that was important for me from the aspect of values, like you were talking about. They could tell the type of person that I was and what I was, where I was focused on and convey that, which was good to kind of precede the actual interaction with me and the owner. I'm in the process now of doing some of the relationship marketing stuff with Raising Fans. I know you've had Clifton on a couple of different times. So we're firing that up to just make ourselves top of mind with those customers. We've always kind of done Christmas presents and, that kind of stuff for all of our repeat customers. But I'm excited to see how the Raising Fans program works for, being a little bit more intentional and driving those things home.
Yeah, so most of your client businesses.
So a third of our customers are retail, and
Okay.
then a third are builders, and then a
Okay.
third is commercial work. So the 60% or so of our customers are repeat customers. So they are construction companies, they're general contractors, they're custom home builders, production home builders, and then a third of the business is retail customers walking in or that we get from Google, et cetera.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, top of mind is everything, man. And and besides that, it's a law of reciprocity, right? If you do something nice to people, you own them.
Yes, well, yes, yeah,
It's
absolutely. I
it's
mean,
it's it's just the way the world works. And then I like the cadence. Clifton sent it out quarterly, so we're always fresh in their mind. And that's the way brand works. Is you don't have to do it; other people will do it for you.
right.
So I think it's gonna be a great hit for you, man. I've every client that I sell get put into the funnel to receive a gift instantly or whenever that they send them out, right? Whether or not that
Yeah,
we build them or not. So it does a lot of things, but the one thing that it does is you show up differently. You're already different.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So that's amazing, man. That you already went in there and try to develop those relationship. My dumpster vendor, they're expensive. They're like 30% more expensive than the next guy. But I do all my business with them. We go through about 300 dumpster a year. 300 time, I don't know, 300. That's
yeah,
90 grand. That's like
yeah,
employees, right?
yeah,
But can I save 30 grand from going somewhere else? Probably. But like they have built a relationship with me, and they send me handwritten notes. They take me out to dinner. So now I'm on the receiving end of that. So it make me feel warm and fuzzy uh in my body. Like it's like now it's so hard for me to make a decision to change vendor. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where some of my corporate background and client services kind of plays in because there was a lot of that with larger companies like we did business with of, you know, taking them out, saying, giving them happy birthday wishes, just all of the little things that kind of make you stand apart for sure.
Yeah, and then yeah, that's my background is client experience. That's what I did back in corporate. A little bit of marketing, a little bit of sales, a little bit of operation. But I think the most important thing is the best marketing is done when other people is doing it for you. So it's not always the microphone that's gonna win the job. It's the whisper that gets you in the door, right?
Yes,
I want to tell people, especially contractor, somehow, some way, some reason, after the job, you got to get in the game room. And I don't know how you get there, but you got to get there. The
right.
mail get the mail get an open rate of 99%.
Yes,
I don't
yeah,
care who you are, your mail's gonna get checked, right? I think
absolutely.
email open rate is like 76%. So, and then you mentioned something about uh, employees. I think we are going to launch employee appreciation program. Wife
Yeah,
birthday, anniversary, work anniversary, things like that. So
absolutely,
so then you servicing the people that service your client, and you service your
absolutely.
client too as well. So it's good stuff, man. That's the stuff that make that's the sizzle that make the money.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, to your point with employees making them feel great, we give all of our employees off their birthday too. I don't know why companies never thought of that. They're like just giving somebody off their birthday makes a huge impact. They're just saying, you don't have to work. It's your birthday. Go out and have fun.
Right.
Um, you know, so that's one of our official company holidays, is your birthday.
Nice, nice, man. I want to come work for your company.
Yeah.
Um, So if there is one advice that you would give to maybe a business owner that trying to buy another business, maybe a high income W-2 employees that trying to be their own CEO, what advice would you give them in terms of trying to either start their own business or buy their own business or make their side business their main business? Um, some of the advice that you have.
I think the biggest piece of advice, and I a lot of times struggle with it myself, is just take a step. Right? Just take one step in the direction that you want to go. Right? I'm a man of faith, and so I pray about this too. Of like, you know what? I don't know what step number 4 and 5 is going to be, but if I can figure out what step number 1 is and just take that step, then I'll figure out what step number 2 is after I'm done with step number 1, right? And so, whether you're gonna walk away from a 6-figure job and try to start your own business or buy a business or whatever the case might be, if you just take a step into learning what that's going to look like, and then don't be scared to just take the first step, right? Like I think it's somewhere I heard that businesses when they're starting up, the first thing that people do is get a website, buy business cards, all this stuff, right? All this stuff that really doesn't matter. And so if you just take a step to say, here's the product I think I want to sell, and I just ask somebody if they want to buy it. Like if you just take that one step, then the next step will make sense. But if you can't make that first step, then it doesn't matter after that.
Yeah, that's good advice. I actually talk about it in one of my podcasts. I think how to overcome paralysis by analysis. And the key for that is take action, right?
Yeah,
Uh, uh, um, me, uh, me in my entrepreneurship journey, I know shit, but I do shit, so then I know shit. It's
yeah,
because it knowing and doing it is two very different things, and
absolutely.
there's a certain there's a certain uh experience that when you do it and when you fail and the pain that come with that failure is gonna be the best teacher there is out there versus like, oh my God, let me run this number again. Let me run these number again to see if it works. Let me just change the color out there on the logo a little bit. But
Yeah,
actually going out there and making a sales, getting told fuck you in your face, that can teach you way more about sales than, oh, let me watch another TikTok about how to overcome rejection, right?
yep,
So produce instead of consume, do instead of read, right?
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, absolutely.
what if you if you had if you can make one thing to go right in your business right now, what would that be?
Whew, that's a good question. Um, I think if I could like wave a magic wand and something be done for me right now, I think it would probably, well, it'd be one of two things, but it would either be not ever having to mess with my books ever again,
Mm,
right? Not ever having to, do anything with it. And I know that that's possible, if you hire the right person, and we're taking steps to get there by getting on the right system and getting over to QuickBooks and a number of things. That or just being, yeah, I'd say that's probably the biggest one. If I could waive that and have that done, I think that would be great. I was going to say, if I could fast forward, but I don't want to fast forward through all the lessons that I'm going to learn by making mistakes, right? So as I build out to what my org chart's going to look like in 5 years, I have to make mistakes along that path in order to learn, in order to become the person that's deserving of running the business, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, you already deserve to run a business, man. You already bought it.
No. I'm no, 100%. I meant to, you're not wrong. So that's the mental trash that we all go through, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In our heads. So
Yeah, it's like you took the risk,
yeah,
you bought the business, you servicing the debt. So
yeah,
the fact that you do that, you're already on your way of becoming the CEO, and your mission is, it's legit, man. You know,
yeah. I appreciate that.
yeah, it's legit. So I'm proud of you for
Well,
buying businesses.
thank you.
You know, I'm more of a builder because I don't like to mess with other people's shit. You
No,
know,
I get it. I just knew that, my dad passed away in 2017 and he left me a little bit of money. And I knew that I could either take that money and have a truck, or I could take that money and buy a business. And so I decided to buy a business
and then the
because I
business
would,
buy you three truck.
right. That's the goal. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. But hey, m- best of luck to you. I'm sure we'll see each other again.
You know I'm a hustler, hustler. You know I'm a hustler.